Thanks for logging on to this presentation about a topic you might start hearing more about at your child's Individualized Education Program IEP meetings. We hope the information here will help parents of students receiving special education services increase their child's skills in the areas of reading and math. IEP teams will be discussing how to help children with disabilities learn what all children are expected to learn as much as is appropriate and possible for each individual child. To be honest, this is a complicated subject. Please give 10 minutes of your time to become more familiar with the basics so you can participate more effectively at IEP meetings. Parts of this process are being revised in Minnesota, so we call it a work in progress. Both Pacer Center and the Minnesota Department of Education are developing more materials and support on this subject. At the end of this clip, further resources are available. These resources are updated continually. Why might this topic matter to you? We believe outcomes for students with disabilities can and will improve. Many benefits are possible when parents and the rest of the IEP team help students with disabilities learn what all children are expected to learn. Here are a few of those potential benefits. There should be higher expectations for the student's academic success and achievement from both parents and teachers. We hope to see increased access to grade-level curriculum and instruction. There may be a closer working relationship between regular and special educators who work with your child. How might we gain these benefits? Take a look at this visual. The large circle indicates that all students are regular education students. Regular education is where the school teaches the general curriculum to help students learn and to prepare them to meet state academic standards. What are state academic standards? Standards are a way to know what should be taught. For each grade, Minnesota has established standards for language arts, which includes reading and writing, math, science, social studies, and English language proficiency. This presentation focuses on the reading and math standards. As the smaller circle shows, some students are also special education students and have IEPs. They should make progress on their IEP goals as well as in the general education curriculum as much as is appropriate for an individual child. It is important to note that there is a relatively small group of students with the most significant cognitive disabilities who are taught using an alternate curriculum which is aligned with alternate standards. The foundation for this discussion is found in two federal laws, the 2001 Elementary and Secondary Education Act, also known as the No Child Left Behind Act, as well as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, IDEA. Both of these laws emphasize the fact that we should have high expectations for children with disabilities and that these children should, quote, to the maximum extent possible, meet the challenging expectations that have been established for all children, end of quote, from IDEA 2004. There is an accountability aspect to both of these laws. Assessment or testing gives us a way to know if the child learned what he or she was taught. Minnesota has set specific grade-level academic standards reflecting these laws for children who attend kindergarten through grade 12 in public schools. These standards are the high expectations mentioned previously. Your school district uses its general education curriculum to teach these academic standards. For students receiving special education, additional special education instruction and supports may be used to teach the standards as well as to work on IEP goals. As noted before, there is a small group of students who work towards alternate standards using an alternate curriculum. The next step, of course, is for students to learn what is taught. The IEP team will look at the impact of the child's disability on learning the general education curriculum. The team will also determine what accommodations may lessen the impact of the disability on learning. For accountability purposes, each student is assessed to see what he or she learned. The team needs to know both what progress the individual student is making and how well the district is educating all of its students, including those with significant delays. When state academic standards are linked to the student's IEP, the student will have a standards-based IEP. Minnesota has developed a step-by-step process to link the student's current performance with state academic standards in the areas of reading and math. The IEP team begins by using data and other information to determine where the student is performing right now. This is called the present level of academic and functional performance statement. Then the team will determine the effect of the disability on the student's involvement and progress in the general education curriculum. No matter what disability your child has, it will have an impact on learning at school. That is why he or she is eligible for special education and has an IEP. Sometimes this impact is in the area of reading or math. Next, the team will discuss what strategies, accommodations, and perhaps assistive technology might be successful in helping the student learn. Then the team will look at the Minnesota academic standards for reading and math for the child's grade level. The next step is very important. The IEP team, with the help of regular education staff, will determine any gaps between your child's knowledge and skills and those in the grade level standards. Based on this, the team develops appropriate IEP services. These IEP services include IEP Goals, which may address a reading or math standard, but also can address any skill or behavior needed by the student. Your child will receive specially designed instruction from licensed special education staff to accomplish the annual goals. The IEP team will also determine what supports, strategies, accommodations, and assistive technology may help the student learn. Finally, where will the student be educated? Questions related to this topic might include: what supports might help the student participate successfully in the regular education classroom? How and to what extent will the student access the general education curriculum in this particular class? This is the visual view of the steps we just reviewed. The IEP team determines the student's present level of academic and functional performance statement. The team looks at the state academic standards in reading and math for your child's grade. Then the team determines possible gaps between the two, which leads to measurable IEP goals, including at least one standards-based goal if there is a gap between the present level of performance and the academic standard. Just to help you see what a standard-based goal might look like, here's an example adapted from the National Association of State Directors of Special Education. The standard is concerned with using the basic features of reading to increase reading confidence or fluency. The goal uses speed of reading and reading comprehension as the features of reading to increase reading fluency. An essential part of this process is assessment. Minnesota's statewide assessment options measure what the student has learned related to the state academic standards or alternate standards. As you can see, there are 3 assessment options. Most students will take the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment, MCA. A small group with the most significant cognitive disabilities will take the Minnesota Test of Academic Skills, MTAS. We will discuss the MCA-Modified on the next slide. To learn more about the assessment options, click on the link to PACER's statewide assessment page at the end of this presentation. We want to highlight this assessment option because it is new for 2011 and relates directly to what we've been talking about so far, helping children with disabilities learn what all children are expected to learn. The new assessment is the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment Modified, MCA-Modified. Beginning in the 5th grade, if an IEP team determines that this is the appropriate assessment option for reading and/or math, the student is required to have a standards-based IEP. Please note that while not required, parents in the IEP team can discuss and implement standards-based IEPs for a student taking other assessment options as well. The MCA Modified is for a small group of students with disabilities who are making progress but who will not be able to master the academic standards fully this year. These students do have access to grade level instruction with supports and special education services. For these students, the new MCA Modified may be an appropriate measure of their knowledge and skills. A complete list of requirements for this assessment option can be found through links to resources at the end of this presentation. How can parents effectively participate in this process? Share what you know about your child's strengths and needs. Ask questions about anything you might not understand. Ask questions about how your child's skills compare to the skills of grade level peers. Monitor your child's progress through reading and understanding your child's IEP progress reports on the IEP goals, regular education report cards, and scores on district-wide and statewide assessments. Finally, share your hopes and high expectations for your child's future. What we do for them today has lifelong implications and benefits. We hope you will visit these website resources for further information. The PACER webpage has several handouts that give more detailed information on everything covered in this presentation. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about students with disabilities and helping them learn what all children are expected to learn. For more information, feel free to contact PACER Center at 952-838-9000 or pacer.org or contact your child's IEP case manager.